Thanks, Sarah. I'm back again. Nick Johnson, the publisher of Axios. Thank you for sticking with us. We've got the big finish now coming up. Another important human ventures partner from Adelaide. I'm happy to welcome Marc Guldimann, the co-founder and CEO. Marc.
All right,
here we are.
Thanks, Nick.
Here we are, rushing to the big end.
All right.
I can almost taste the rosé, but we're almost finished for the week here. But let's start digging a little bit on you. Let's big picture. Tell me about your background, like what brings you to Cannes.
Oh, well, so I've been in ad tech by accident for about 18 years. I started a company called SpongeCell in the mid-2000s. We raised money from IPG. I spent all their money, and I went back to them and I said, all right, I'm ready for more money. And they're like, no, you actually have to build an ongoing business concern. So why don't you try display ads? And so we pivoted SpongeCell into a display ad company, grew it to like 120 people. That got sold to Flash Talking, then on to Mediaocean. And now I run a company called Adelaide that's focused on media quality. And I was really like the last conversation around scarcity, like really touched on a point for me, because I think one of the biggest problems that advertisers face today besides AI is there's this just false belief in unlimited scale. Like you can always buy more impressions to reach your audience. And that's the problem that Adelaide is solving. We're injecting a signal into the market so that there is actual transparency around quality, and that drives scarcity.
Let's dig into that transparency. Like, what are the pieces that go into that, and how do you help folks like, navigate it?
So we make a metric called AU. It's a 0 to 100 score of media quality. You can almost think of it as a FICO score for media placements. And that's like the biggest missing piece in this market, right? There's no shared understanding of quality. And there's a great old economist named George Akerlof who wrote The Market for Lemons, where he basically says if buyers don't understand the quality of the thing that they're after, they're just going to buy worse and worse quality.
And more of it probably.
Yeah, and that's what we have today in digital. It's just what's the CPM and how much tonnage can I get?
So when we talked before, you talked about some of the two pieces of the relationship, which I think did a great job of explaining the challenge. And like let's just go through both of them in order. Like the relationship being cost plus. Unpack kind of what that means and why it's such a problem.
Yes, so think about it this way. If you're a buyer of anything and you don't understand the quality of it, it's human nature to say, well, I'll just pay you 10% more than you paid for it, right? If you go to a gas station, they don't have gallons and octane, you say to the guy, I'll pay you 10% more than you paid for that bucket of gas, and you actually wire up your car with an attribution system and start to behave a lot like an advertiser. But so it's that lack of quality signal that makes it hard to compute value that drives people into cost plus. It's human nature to buy things on cost plus when you don't understand the quality of them, but it has so many pernicious downstream effects that it's actually a felony to sign a cost plus contract if you work for the US government. Like the government of the US understands so well the poor incentives that are created that it's illegal, but that's how we
even
operate.
The government has understood it, but ad buyers have not, which should be like a little flashing yellow.
The irony is when we get to procurement and we talk to them about like, oh, now you can compute value, like a light bulb goes off in their head. Nobody really wants to trade this way. It's just sort of like human nature once you don't understand quality.
But then what's the flip side of that? Okay, if you're not doing a cost plus, you want to focus on the outcome, but that's not a panacea either.
Yeah, so the pendulum swings a little bit too far, right? So when people say like, well, I don't understand the quality of the impressions I'm buying, let me just try to figure out like, what is that actually doing for my business? Maybe I can just buy that outcome, which is akin to going to the gas station and saying, I'm driving to Vermont today, I'll give you $50 for as much gas as it takes me, and then you drive like a jerk up to Vermont with your foot on the floor, the AC on, the windows down, and like you don't care about your tire pressure because nobody cares about
you got the outcome, you're in Vermont.
Exactly, but over time, when you pay people for outcomes, and this is a big problem that's happening more and more in advertising is, Facebook saying it, Google saying it, oh, just tell me what the outcome is that you want and like give me some money and I'll drive that outcome for you. The problem is that you're training that platform to find those outcomes better than you. You're giving them the data, you're giving them a pixel, and who's to say that you deserve that outcome at that price forever? They're just going to take that outcome and sell it to the highest bidder. So you eventually just like participate in margin compression. So if you're buying outcomes from someone else, you're training them to find those outcomes better than you.
The intelligence you have as a business, you are giving to your competitors.
Yeah, well, the platform, and then that's resold to the purpose. I'm not a marketer, so I feel a little bit out of place saying this, but in my mind, the purpose of a marketer is to take resources and turn it to demand. If you are paying somebody else to do that, you're paying them to eat your risk, and they're going to charge you for it, and they're going to get better at it than you are. And then you also have this other problem, which is I call the rule of outcomes, which is with enough scale, companies start to predict outcomes instead of driving outcomes. Like Facebook doesn't create demand for anything. They're just able to figure out when you're about to buy something so they can serve you an ad and take credit.
So then what's the solution here? This is a lot. Do you have any upside?
So,
or lead us out of the wilderness.
Well, this is my bag, so take it with a grain of salt. But I think that markets should trade using metrics that represent the underlying asset. And so we need to figure out what is a good score for the media that we're trading so that it can be priced properly. And so you can have a shared understanding of truth, shared understanding of quality, which will drive scarcity, and then hopefully repair a lot of the broken incentives that we have in this market.
And that will help by providing the true value in the middle between the outcome and that relationship. I think that's where that gives power back to the business then.
Yeah, and it gives buyers the ability to justify paying a price that's commensurate with the quality that the seller is offering, which is super important because today, if you're a media buyer at an agency, it's really hard to justify buying from a premium publisher when you have all these MFA sites and these social networks that are able to deliver tons and tons of impressions for so low CPMs.
So there's almost this kind of quality score is much broader because it'll incentivize better outcomes, better traffic, better platforms. I should be excited about it as a publisher of Axios if I can better explain to people no, this is a better click.
Yeah, well, it creates the incentives. It creates positive incentives for you to create experiences that respect your readers, right? Instead of just jamming the page full of ads, which is what the incentives create. The incentives
all lives on what those incentives have done to our laptops. Melted them.
You get the market that your metrics deserve, right?
What's been the reception you've had walking around about this? Do people get it? Who are you fighting against?
We're fighting against the embedded incentives from 20 years of focusing on cost. Everybody that uses our data or anybody else that's building metrics using attention data to look at the quality of media, it works. It's no surprise that it's easy to beat viewability. The problem is that everybody from procurement down at the brand through the holdcos are incentivized to find the cheapest reach possible. And so unwinding that all the way back up to procurement, that's our challenge.
You mentioned this briefly at the top, but I want to come back to it because I'm bound by French law to ask about AI. How does that play a role in all of this? And what's your thought bubble on it?
I have a tough time connecting AI to our business. We use AI to train our models, and we pull in a lot of data about placements, and it's technically machine learning, but I guess since Joe's here, I should say it's AI that we use to build AU.
Yeah, just say it's AI, it'll be fine.
So here's the thing I think that people are missing about AI in media, which is the video content that's created is getting so good that people are going to be able to basically make whatever content they want. That's going to drive choice to user experience, which is effectively what's the ad load. When people choose the content they consume based on ad load, it's going to have downward pressure on supply, which is going to mean cost is going to go up. So if you think about maybe there's half the number of ads that are available in the future, and also with our technology, there's going to be a lot less junk available. So both of those things are going to compress supply and basic economics.
This is the same thing we think about in the newsroom is when AI can generate almost everything, the stuff that's actually good will become so much more valuable, probably driven by humans or providing a better experience for humans.
Yeah, there's just going to be less opportunities to reach audiences, which is going to make those opportunities more expensive, which is great for premium publishers.
I'm very happy to hear that as a premium publisher. So we're about to get the hook here and go to lunch. I'm going to ask you my one fun thing, my one can thing. Congratulations, you survived the week. What was your life hack?
Going to bed at 10 p.m.
You missed so much. No, but you're right. I did the exact same thing. Marc, thanks for being here. Thanks to OpenAP for making this possible. Thanks for Human Ventures for making this possible. All of our partners. That's the wrap on Axios Live for the week. Thanks everybody who joined us. Thanks to all the PR guests who were on stage. Thanks for all the partners who made it possible. I'm going to get my bathing suit and jump in the Mediterranean. We'll see you next year.
That's high attention.